Hello, I'm your host, Neil Howard, here on Health Professional Radio. Thanks for joining us. Going to have a conversation with guest Dr. Purvi Parikh this morning. She's an adult and pediatric allergist with New York University, and she's joining us on the program to talk about the fear, actually, of accidental exposure that people that have food allergies face on a daily basis, and also some of the best practices when it comes to food allergies. Welcome to the program, Dr. Parikh.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, I did mention that you're with New York University. Give us a bit of background about yourself as a pediatric and an adult allergist.
I'm a pediatric and adult allergist and immunologist. So, I treat all types of allergies from food to environmental to medication allergies. And then also we treat people who have asthma as well as under-functioning immune systems or immune deficiencies. So kind of the whole gamut, and it's something, allergies, as you may have heard, is something that's been becoming more and more frequent, and they're becoming, unfortunately, more severe, too.
What would you say, in your opinion, in your experience, is the cause of this increase in prevalence of allergies? Would you say that food allergies are on the rise a little bit more than skin allergies and other allergies?
Right. So they're all equally increasing, but, foods in general, it's a little bit alarming because just in the last 2 decades, they've gone up about 50% in children, which is quite high and at a fast rate. And many of the things that are to blame or have been thought to be blame are various lifestyle changes. So us as a society, we're eating more processed food, which kind of messes up the immune system in our gut and forces us down more of an allergic pathway versus not, because we're no longer exposed to good bacteria and things like that used to prevent allergies. And just the whole way of living in cities and urban environments, we're no longer exposed to these good bacteria. We're not spending as much time, playing in the soil or on a farm. And all of these things kind of have been shifting us more towards more food allergies and any type of allergy, actually, overusing disinfectants and hand sanitizers and a lot of the chemicals that we rely on, just to make life more convenient, are unfortunately disrupting our immune system.
When it comes to food allergies, what I hear a lot about are nut allergies, peanuts. You go to a local fast food restaurant, as you say, processed food there again, and you're getting these warnings on the drive-through, on the packaging about nuts. Let's talk about peanut allergies specifically. What is the seriousness of a peanut allergy?
Right. So peanut allergies, can be quite severe and they can be life-threatening. So that's the scary part about food allergies in general becoming more common and more severe, because unfortunately for these people who are allergic, it could be life or death, and then it's hard to know, too, when you're being exposed to something, especially any food that you aren't preparing yourself or that you have 100% control over. So for a lot of these patients that suffer from peanut allergy, it's kind of like a landmine. They don't know when they may accidentally either ingest peanut, either where it's been cooked or if there's cross-contamination with the food that they're eating. And some of them are so sensitive that even with physical contact, they get bad reactions. So if peanut is left on a surface where they then come in touch or, they accidentally interact with someone who's been eating peanuts and they touch their skin, there can be transfer of the allergen that way too.
So that's a huge fear that a person has to deal with, trying to go through their daily life and terribly afraid of peanuts.
Right.
What are some of the best practices when it comes to a peanut allergy, and how do you know if you've got one?
Right. So, it is a lot of fear. It causes a lot of anxiety. Not only for the child, but, as you can imagine, for their parents as well and their whole family, because kind of the whole family has to change their lifestyle. And it's something everybody is to be concerned and on high alert about. Unfortunately, currently, the only mainstay of treatment that we have is avoidance for those that suffer from peanut allergies. So, which isn't, the best thing I can tell people, but unfortunately all they can do is avoid it and carry their emergency epinephrine on them at all times. So they really have to be very proactive and advocate for themselves. So anytime they're going out to eat, they need to, let everybody know from the wait staff to the chef, to anyone who may potentially interact with their food about it. And even then, mistakes do happen. When they travel, it's something that they constantly have to think about on airplanes and in hotels and what have you. So it's definitely quite an impact on someone's life and their quality of life.
So what about some of the research on some of the other treatments, say immunotherapies for
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So this is a potential therapy that hopefully will be available for us to offer patients soon. And what that does is what immunotherapy is, or another word for it is desensitization, is the idea that you can slowly make your immune system less allergic or less reactive to anything that may trigger an allergic reaction. So we already do this with all of the environmental allergies. I'm sure you may have heard of allergy shots. So we are already desensitizing people to pollen and dust and mold. But if it's available for food allergies, it would be great because it's not meant to be a cure per se, but it adds an extra level of protection so that if you have a peanut allergy and you accidentally come in contact with the peanut, your reaction will be much less severe, and that could be, the meaning of life or death for a patient because normally they would have reacted in an anaphylactic shock and had to be rushed to the hospital. And now, because of the immunotherapy, their accidental exposure is not as severe. Of course, that gives a lot more peace of mind to the patient, and it's a lot less dangerous.
When you're undergoing this immunotherapy, do you still have to have your emergency EpiPen, or does it depend on the severity of your particular allergy? And does that severity, gauge the type or dosage of
Right. That's actually an excellent question. So the immunotherapy is not meant, again, to be a cure or to let your guard down by any means. You have to be just as alert, just as vigilant and careful with your allergies. All the immunotherapy does is that it gives you like an extra security net or security blanket in case you accidentally come in contact with an allergen. So absolutely, you still have to carry your emergency epinephrine with you. You still have to be very, very careful because it's hard to predict. One time you may have a mild reaction, but then the next time it could be a very severe reaction. And that's the scary and frustrating thing about food allergies. It's very difficult to predict who will react and how strongly they will react at any given time. So even our patients who've been classified as the quote unquote mild, I never like to use that term for food allergies because I've seen people who've had mild symptoms and then on subsequent exposure get very, very severe symptoms, so it's not something to be taken lightly, So the immunotherapy is just meant to create an extra layer of protection in case there is an accidental exposure. You still have to be just as vigilant.
Is there a patient who's not a candidate for immunotherapy based on their allergy or some other underlying factor associated with their health?
Right. So, like with any medical treatment, it's never a one-size-fits-all. So you really have to assess each patient separately. So some patients, their allergy may be too severe, or they might have other problems, such as very bad asthma or other medical conditions that make it dangerous to do the immunotherapy. Because the way immunotherapy works is that we use very, very small doses of the allergen, actually, and slowly increase it. And what that does is it kind of trains your immune system to become tolerant or get over the allergy. And majority of people, it's safe, it's effective, but of course there are people where it may not be safe for. So that's why it's very important that it's done, properly, by a board-certified specialist, a board-certified allergist, so that way they can assess if this is the right therapy for you or not.
Well, where can our listeners get some more information about some of this research that's being done into oral immunotherapy for food allergies and some of the other allergies as well?
Right. So there's various sites. So the American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology, as well as American Academy of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology, they have websites with a lot of patient-friendly information. And then there's various companies, one of which is AI Immune. They're doing research. And there's other companies as well that are doing peanut-related or what we call oral immunotherapy or desensitization. So there are a lot of good resources out there for patients. And then, there isn't one that's FDA approved as of yet, but hopefully it will be available for patients soon.
Well, Doctor, thank you so much for joining us on Health Professional Radio. Lots of great information, and I'm hoping you'll join us again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard. Transcripts and audio of this program are available at hpr.fm and healthprofessionalradio.com.au. You can also subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, listen in and download at SoundCloud, and be sure and visit our affiliates page at hpr.fm and healthprofessionalradio.com.au.
Thank you for listening to Health Professional Radio. We're very proud to be an independent broadcaster providing our content free of charge to you, the listener. One of the ways that we're able to remain free and independent is by having people like you become patrons. You can support Health Professional Radio simply by visiting hpr.fm and clicking the button that says Become a Patron. Your patronage of even just $1 a month lets us know that you're there, which in turn makes us more valuable to advertisers. And, of course, if you're able to afford more, then we would certainly appreciate the support. My name is Toby Longhurst from Health Professional Radio. Please visit hpr.fm, click the Become a Patron button, and support us if you can.